Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the turn of Group C in the preview for the European Championships. Whether you want to call it 2020 or 2021, it's entirely up to you. Gav Mack and Chris Combat Collins. How are you, mon frere?
I am absolutely, but considering it's Monday morning, I'm feeling pretty good, mate. I'm feeling pretty good.
Happy days, happy days. Of course, you can find us on all social media platforms, but simply if you put Mad Sports Network into Google, our name comes up first. Chris is part of the Mad Sports Network fraternity, handles the Guard Pass, the MMA and combat show every other Thursday at 9 p.m, of course. And you can also find him on Four Manx One Toffee, and I'm not sure if you've seen it, but you can go back and have a look at Friday night's episode where I feature, as well as everything else that they do as well. Brilliant stuff, top end stuff, loads of banter, loads of laughs, and you can also listen to them on Spotify as well.
Yeah,
Right
boy.
then. Indeed. Right, so 4 teams in this group. Of course, there's 4 teams in every group, and this is Group C: Ukraine, Netherlands, North Macedonia, and we will start with Austria. Austria are looking okay, in my opinion. Should we get the lineup up first?
Go for it. I'd love it if you did.
Let's do that. That is the Austrian national side. Of course, they drew. They lost 1-0 to England to the day, but they have a nice little squad there. Plenty of Bundesliga talent in there, which I'm a giant fan of, and I'm having these as semi-dark horses to go deep into the tournament. What do you think, Chris?
I mean, you said a little bit of a Bundesliga contingent. That is Bundesliga FC, Mr. Mac. That is Bundesliga FC. And there's nothing wrong with that. Very competitively, the Bundesliga, definitely one of the best in Europe this season. Obviously, the standout names, you're looking at Alaba for a start. People who are fans of the Premier League obviously might recognise Marko Arnautovic, who is now playing his trade in China. Question the competitiveness of that league, but that's a conversation for another day. Sabitzer, he's a big player for him. He's played well for Leipzig again this season. Obviously, one of the players who's had to step up in the absence of Timo Werner leaving. It's a good side. I was actually quite impressed with Austria against England. I think, was it England maybe making problems for themselves? Yeah, maybe. And the fact they had a few stronger players missing. But I think they applied themselves well, and I think they were really unfortunate not to at least score one. So quite dangerous, I think, particularly going forward.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big fan of the Austrian side. As I said, like, I'm a massive connoisseur of the Bundesliga. I watch it, I absorb it, I consume it. And of course, MAD Sports Network do a Bundesliga show, so a lot of these names would have been mentioned regularly throughout the season as well. Defensively, I like the look of them. I like Christoph Trimmel at right back. He is able to get forwards quite a lot. He plays at Union Berlin, who have just qualified for the UEFA Nations League, the biggest European competition in the world, if you speak to Tottenham fans, of course. They've got Hinteregger, who's been doing bits at Frankfurt, who's only just missed out on the Champions League spot, but defensively very, very strong. Now Alaba, I'm not quite sure what position he'll play in, because in Euro 2016 you found Alaba quite often playing almost in like the number 10 role. He's just so confident and comfortable in every single position. He's down as a left back in the squad, but can play anywhere. So they will be looking at him. Ilsanker, another player coming from Frankfurt, who had a very, very good season. Baumgartlinger, who is from Leverkusen, he's looking pretty tidy as well. And then up front, another player who's actually from Leverkusen on loan at Stuttgart is Sasa Kalajdzic, who bagged 17 goals in the Bundesliga last season, which averages at 1 and 2, can't be sniffed at all. So get the ball to him and see what's going on.
I like Kalajdzic, and he's very young. He's like 22, 23.
He's 22, 23 years old.
Sky's the limit to a certain degree with him, especially.
Well, it is when he's that tall.
Well, yeah, bloody hell. I was talking like six.
He's about 6'4",
6'5", something like that. Is he bigger than that?
6'5"? Is he 6'5", 6'6"? Anybody is 6'7" to me. So it makes no odds.
I'm telling you now, I'm not 6'7". I wish I was. I wish I was. Just so I could say my height was 2 meters. But he's a quality player. I think he's one of them. If you give him enough service, if he can find some scraps in and around the box, I think he'll bag a few, especially in the group stages. But maybe not against the Netherlands, but the other two teams are in the group. I think he'll definitely get his chances. Yeah,
definitely. I want to go to Netherlands last, if I'm honest, because they are arguably the biggest name in this group, Group C, of course, for the Euros. So next off, we're going to look to a more obscure nation, if you want to call it that, and it's North Macedonia. They've only been a nation in the last few years, to be honest, as an outright nation. They were, of course, the former Yugoslav Republic of North Macedonia, and then Macedonia has now since split, and they have the northern side of it all here. Here's their squad there. Now, there's one name which was a household name, especially for the guys that used to play like Pez and stuff back in the day, like Pez 5, Pez 6 and stuff. And that's Goran Pandev, who's still plying his trade. He's 37 years old. He's turned out currently at Genoa in Italy, and he's still a bit of a bagsman as well. So he is the most experienced player by a country mile. 114 caps he's got for the national side, and averages sort of like 1 in 3 for the national side too. They also have Palermo legend Alexander Tchaikovsky, who is, being a Palermo fan here. I'm really happy to see someone who once upon a time played for my club and is now been able to get a little bit of game time. But yes, I know that they are quite unknown. There's also Alioski there as well, who's only 29. So what are your thoughts sort of on the outset of this side?
Goran fucking Pandev. How is that man still playing football? He scored a brace against someone recently, didn't he? Maybe a few months ago. And the shock factor was twofold, because firstly I was like, North Macedonia, when did that happen? Is it not just Macedonia? And then I saw the name and it said G Pandev. And I was like, oh, I like Goran Pandev. And then I realized it was Goran Pandev. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. Goran Pandev still playing football. And he's brilliant. He's brilliant.
It's like a regen, but it's actually him.
Outstanding. Just an outstanding player. I mean, in his prime, in his pomp, back in the day, he was one of the best in Europe. One of the best in Europe in his position. Now, 37, his body will be failing him physically. He's not as fast. He won't be as strong. He won't be as powerful as he was. But give him a chance. Give him a sniff in and around the box, and he'll bag. The techers are still there. There's no doubt about it. I think they're a lot trickier than they look, North Macedonia. Yeah. I think they've got, some decent players. They've got a little bit of youth coming through. The likes of Cherlinov, flying his trade up in Stuttgart. Is it Stuttgart, Cherlinov? I think.
Yes, he is. Yes.
I don't think I'm wrong. They've got some good players playing the trade for decent teams in strong leagues across Europe. Seems like a bit of a cop-out answer that, but I think you'll be able to tell. Second spot for me in the group, it could potentially be up for grabs. And I think if they can get through the first game unscathed, I think they'll quietly fancy the chances of potentially sneaking out.
And their first game is against Austria, so you never know. Well, I've got them as dark horses, but they might be one of those teams that look like, people might get a little bit complacent against. Now, I'm not quite sure what they're going to do between the sticks, though. That's one of my concerns there. And they've got Dimitrevski, who is playing for Rayo Vallecano, who are hoping to get back into the big time in La Liga, and I'm pretty sure they will. They won their first leg at the weekend, and that was 3-0 against Leganes, and I can't see how they will be able to have that go tits up. Frankly, I can't see it happening. And then they've got Sisovsky, who is currently turning out in the top flight in Cyprus. So will they look for a top flight goalkeeper who's already astute there, or someone who's been playing regularly all season with a bit more experience? And then they've got Yankov as well, Risto Yankov, who is playing domestically, but it's his first call up to the national side. So they must have picked him for a reason. I can't see why they'll just pick anyone or anyone, so to speak. Ademi as well is a player who's been around for a long time. He's been playing at Dynamo Zagreb. He was part of the side that beat Spurs in the Europa League as well.
Oh,
so,
yes.
And that's not me trying to dig out Spurs. It's just more like he's a player that people will more than likely be aware of. He's one of the most experienced players there, along with Elmas as well, who he is someone who I feel might be a dark horse to light up the tournament. He might not. Macedonia might get beat up every game. We don't know, but they might do. However, there are still players that will be able to stand out a little bit. And Elmas, he plays for Napoli at the moment. He's only 21. Is easily the most talented player in this side as well. So let's not sleep on them. I do think they'll finish bottom of the group, but let's not sleep on them too much. You can finish bottom of the group and get slapped at 5-0 in every game. You can finish bottom of the group and lose 1-0 every game. That's
Agreed.
what I mean by that. So yeah, you need to allow to be a bit more open-minded.
Yeah, I think in that Dimitrov, God, my pronunciation's horrible. I apologise for it. Dimitrevski, that's the best you're going to get out of me. It will probably be the one just for experience. It's like I said, that Zagreb side. You talk about Zagreb before with Demi. They did well in the Europa League this season. They knocked out some good teams, they beat some good teams. Spurs, obviously the most famous out of them. Players like Ristovski, who plays for them. They've got options. They've got quite a strong squad, I think. I really do think if they can get a decent result against Austria, if they can maybe sneak a draw, I really do think they will quietly fancy the chances.
And of course, you can sneak into the latter stages of this tournament by finishing the third spot, which I'm not the biggest fan of, if I'm honest, but this is the way the tournament is. So we have to run with it and we have to enjoy it.
I think it's fucking horrendous, Gav, but continue.
One team that might not think it is going to be horrendous because they might need to rely on it is Ukraine. And Ukraine have changed a lot over the years. I have to remove the lower banner because there's a lot of long names in the Ukraine squad, so I've had to stretch that out a little bit there. Two players that I can't believe are playing still. One is between the sticks in the shape of Andrei Piatov, and is at Shakhtar Donetsk, and his teammate Sergei Kristov.
Sergei Kristov. We were having a conversation before this podcast started. He is a legitimate football manager legend. One of the players you just immediately turn to bolster your squad straight away, regardless of what division you were playing your training as a manager. And I cannot believe he is 30 years old. That is all he is, Gav. My mind
30 years young. 30 years young, Chris.
Unreal. Unreal. They got a good squad, Ukraine. I think Kristov, he's a great player, I think. Obviously, Zinchenko, from a defensive point of view, is the standout. Sobol playing for Bruges. Bruges did quite well, both domestically and sort of did bits European football this season. Yarmolenko's the obvious one up front for them, playing for West Ham. I rate Yarmolenko. I don't know how you feel about Yarmolenko, but I really rate him. I think he's a good player.
I've always had time for Yarmolenko. I thought it was an absolute coup when West Ham picked him up. I really do. There was talk of him going to Liverpool the previous season as well, where he turns up at West Ham. It is very well thought of still in the grand scheme of things. I'll look at where they're going to be able to stop the balls going in the back of the net, and yes, we are looking at Zinchenko being a part of the senior side, despite him only being 24, and of course Kristov. But goalkeeper-wise, they have to start with Piatov still. He is 36, mine. He's been around forever. He actually turns 37 as the tournament continues. But he's got, if they get through to the next stage, he could get up to his 100 caps, which I think will be absolutely brilliant for him as well. But yeah, Ukraine. This isn't the type of Ukraine side that we've seen over the years. I'm not just talking like your likes of Shevchenko and Rebrov and things like that. I'm talking about the times Milevsky, and I just think this is a team that needs a bit of rebuilding over time. They've got Malinovsky, who plays for Atalanta. Of course, Atalanta had a wonderful season yet again. I'm not quite sure how they're going to deploy him, and it also depends what formation they play. Because if they go with the 4-2-3-1, I can see him playing in that hole with Yarmolenko on one side of him, and maybe Marlos, the Brazilian who's actually taken Ukraine citizenship, also playing for Shakhtar Donetsk. So maybe play him out on the left. He's not super comfortable there, but is competent enough to do that if they do play a 4-2-3-1. So yeah, and Yaremchuk as well is 25. He's got like a 1 in 3, 1 in 4, and he's playing for Ghent, as you mentioned as well. So then I don't really fancy them much, but once again, don't sleep on them. These little smaller nations, or the ones that are not to be expected to be doing a lot, people are just going to sleep on them straight away. Everyone just assumes that the favourites are going to go through every time, but it only takes one result. And if you can get a result early doors, especially Holland, who we're going to be talking about shortly, who Ukraine play against in the opening fixtures for Euro 2020/2021, however you want to call it. It's going to be very interesting to see how they will turn out, because look at what happened only a few days ago with Holland. They were 2-1 down against Scotland, and no one would have given them a chance.
And it should have stayed that way as well. Scotland shot, as is Scotland, shot themselves in the foot with the equaliser, quite literally. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Ukraine, they drastically need someone like a Shevchenko or a Voronin up front, which they just don't have. But they've got a competitive squad, and he should be all right. Marlos, you are Brazilian. Stop it.
Yeah, he is.
Stop it right now.
So lie to yourself.
Euros. Welcome to the Euros, Marlos.
Exactly. It's like Australia being part of Eurovision. But these smaller nations that have made it to the promised land, if you want to call it that, you have to give them the respect that they deserve, because they've come through some tough groups. So in order to get there is an achievement on its own. And they don't want to just turn up and be the whipping boys of these divisions. So they want to be able to be competitive as they possibly can be, and go as far as they can throughout the tournament. And also, it's a shop window for all of these players that are playing in lesser leagues around Europe to say, right, okay, I'm ready to step up. Look at the situation, for argument's sake, with West Ham, with Thomas Souček and with Sofal. Like, you would never have expected either of those to be playing European football for a Premier League side, and let's call them a top Premier League side, because they finished in the top 6. So these type of players, they might be playing a European competition, but they could make a name for themselves and get themselves a big move to a big club and play at the top table on a regular basis.
Yeah, particularly Shakhtar. I mean, how many good players have come out of Shakhtar over the years? Obviously, they've got a very strong Brazilian contingent. You get a lot of Brazilian players over there, start young, get experience in. It is a competitive league, to be fair. So yeah, I agree with that. I think shop window's a good point. It's going to elevate the game of some players, no doubt about it, from the smaller countries.
I've also almost completed Ukraine in my sticker album as well, so big props to that. And finally, let's have a look at the Dutch side. Now, the Dutch side, I've always had a soft spot for Holland, and the reason why is because of the Champions League final in 1995, turning up with 9 of the starting 11 being not just Dutch players, but Dutch international players as well. So I've always had a soft spot for them, and I thought Ajax were brilliant that year. But this is not the type of Holland that we would have seen over the years again, is it?
No, it's a little bit. I don't know what to make of this Holland squad. It could go one way or the other, couldn't it? Because defensively, there's some names that there, but not super duper strong. Van Dijk is a big loss. He is a huge loss for them. I know they've got Stefan de Vrij who can step in, and they've got other options there as well. But no doubt about it, one of the best centre backs in the world. You're going to miss him. Midfield is probably where the strongest even with players like Donny van der Beek, who's not been playing much for United this season, he still is one of those where he turns up for country and he always performs, gives a 7 or an 8 out of 10 performance every time. The young, great player, Matt de Roon's had a good season with Atalanta. Wijnaldum, just an incredible squad player for Liverpool over the years, could be playing for Barcelona by the time the tournament ends. I just think they're going to struggle defensively, and I think they're going to struggle going forward, because really their only sort of out-and-out top-class striking option, I'd say, currently, is Memphis Depay.
How dare you slander Val Weghorst like
that? He'll play his part, but I just... If you're if Holland make out the group, which they are gonna, and they come up against a Germany or a Portugal or a France, is anyone going to be able to step up front for them to be able to unlock a defence? I think the only player that you could really turn to from a Netherlands point of view is Depay. And I just think it's been far stronger in the past. I mean, you look at top class Holland sides of yesteryear and the strikers they've produced. The list is endless. And you look at the forwards they've got this time round, and it's just not quite there.
Yeah, it's not quite at the same levels, is it? Now, if they do get to the knockout stage, I think they'll be relying, if they do go to penalties, on a certain Tim Krul who loves stopping penalties a lot. They've still got Stecklenburg in this squad as well. Can you believe that? He's 38.
I refuse to believe that. He is about 64 years old, Mr. Matt.
And you mentioned Martin de Roon as well, who has had a brilliant season at Atalanta. He is coming towards the latter years of his career. Do you follow him on Twitter?
I don't, mate. I didn't even know he had Twitter.
He is fucking hilarious. He is so funny, honestly. He's got banter for absolute days. Now, I look at this Dutch national side and I'm not overly impressed. I really am not. De Ligt had an okay season, not up to the standards that he was expecting to be. De Vrij, I imagine that they're going to be playing a 3 at the back, if I'm honest, with De Ligt, De Vrij, and Daley Blind, because Daley Blind is very good when you play him as part of the 3 in a back 3, allowing then Dumfries and Van Aanholt to be in the wing back positions. But the midfield, they've got a wealth of talent in midfield. But I feel that there is going to be an opportunity for Ryan Gravenberch, who I think is going to be a world-class player. He is 19 years old. He's been playing for Ajax. Ajax winning another league title again, of course, this year, their 35th league title in their history. But he's been a very big part of that. Now, he only made his debut back in March and is already featured in all 4 games. So that tells me that they like the look of him. Now, if they do play 3 at the back and they go with maybe 3 midfielders, like a 3-5-2, I'm looking at Frankie de Jong and Wijnaldum to partner him in the middle of the park.
It's a strong midfield. I think the midfield options for the Netherlands are as strong as you'll see across any team in the Euros this summer. I really do. And they've got a lot of strength, and they've got a lot of strength coming off the bench as well, potentially. And they can play it a multitude of different ways. I think that's probably the best way that they would set up with 3 at the back. The worry for me is, just to sort of step sideways for a second, is it's a bit like Belgium, the manager.
Yeah,
that's the concern for me. I don't think he has got the chops tactically to really push the Netherlands to the last stages if the going gets tough. I think they'll cruise out of this group. I do not think they're going to have any issues whatsoever. I think potentially, like you said, Austria, your dark horses, I think that could be a tasty game, particularly off what I saw the other night against England. I think Austria, they're a lot better than that scoreline suggested. But I just don't think he's got it tactically, the nous to really make them a threat this time around. I don't know what you think about that.
No, I do feel you. Pointless fact, if you wish. Frank de Boer, of course, is the twin brother of Ronald de Boer. Frank de Boer is of course, the manager of the national side. Shares the same birthday and date as my mother.
You said pointless fact. No such thing as a pointless fact, mate. I'll remember that for the rest of my life. Every time I see in the news now, I'll be like, oh, it's DeBoer's birthday. I'll be like, oh, it's Gav's mum's birthday today. It's in there, mate. It's in the old locker.
Oh, dear. But yeah, I can't see I can't see them going any further than the last 16, in my opinion. It's a shame that we're seeing almost a bit of a demise of the Dutch national side, especially what we've seen over the years. Never been able to win a World Cup, unfortunately. They've won 1 Euros back in 1988, a year after I was born. So I don't remember it, but I have seen bits and bobs of it. Too close to call for them in 94 and in 98. And yeah, you know, they got to a World Cup final again in 2010, but we're just... Yeah, we're going to have to wait a long time before we see a Dutch national side at the top of their game again, in my honest opinion. But yeah, that wraps up the look of the teams in the group. Now, Christoph, where do you think who will finish where? 1 to 4. What's yours?
Holland top, without a shadow of a doubt. I do not think they're going to struggle to get out of the group at all. If I was a betting man and I wanted to play the safe bet, I'm going to say Austria second. I just think you've got a very good squad. They've got star power in the squad, particularly, you know, Alaba, like you said before. He is the ultimate utility man. He's Phil Neville on steroids. He's David Alaba. He's a fantastic player. He really is.
So John O'Shea?
Yes.
He's the black John O'Shea.
He's on a par, yeah. It's pretty much that's the name I was looking for. I just thought Phil Neville first for some reason. But I've got a feeling about North Macedonia. I think North Macedonia finished 3rd and Ukraine finished 4th. But I think if North Macedonia can get a positive result against Austria in the first game, I think we're going sizzler. I think it's game time.
Interessant. Sehr interessant. Now, I've got Austria as my dark horses, so I can't see them finishing any other place than top spot. I see them getting 9 points from this group as well. And yeah, I really do. But then I think it is going to be tight elsewhere. I think Holland will sneak through. I don't think they'll guarantee themselves, but I think they'll sneak through into second spot. North Macedonia, I'm also going 3rd, but I feel that they might qualify. I think they might qualify in 3rd place based on what everyone else is doing. And then, yeah, sorry, Ukraine, you are not 1998 anymore. So unfortunately, you will be finishing bottom of the group and going home at the first hurdle.
That fucking Goran Pandev, he just makes you wonder, doesn't it? He just makes you think, they've got a chance. They've got a chance.
Absolutely.
What's the actual option? Do you know off the top of your head who they potentially play in the next round?
If I'm honest, I don't. I am going to get my little wall chart out, and I'm gonna fill it out as we go along as well. Make sure I get my prettiest, neatest handwriting, and make sure I put people into the right pigeonholes and things like that. But off the top of my head, I can't think of who they'll be playing.
I support. The only reason I say that is I support your notion on Austria. If Austria turn up to this tournament, if they've got a favourable run, I think you could potentially be looking a little bit like we were saying with Turkey the other night, or the other morning rather. You could potentially be looking at someone who could run to a quarterfinal, maybe a semi-finals. But it just all depends on the draw, where you're going to meet the big guns, basically. Yeah,
definitely. I'm gonna see if I can find out very, very quickly if there is a way of finding out. So, Group C. So if they top Group C, where's ones? Where's the ones? I can't.
I'm looking myself now as well. Fixtures for Euro 2020. It's a minefield because you do it from an England point of view, and it's constantly like, right, so if we finish 3rd there, we might get them, but then we finish top, we might get them out of that group, but maybe they won't finish 2nd, they'll finish 1st, and it's just an absolute nightmare.
Oh, mate, honestly, I haven't got a clue. I think they've done a little typo here because it says on one stage, 2A will play against 2B. I don't think that would be the case. That'd be a bit naughty, wouldn't it? So yeah, well, let's just wait on that. Let's just wait. Let's just see how it pans out. But of course, make sure you tune in tomorrow morning for the look of Group D, and Group D is a pretty shiny group because it involves us, Angleterre, England, Croatia, Scotland, and Czech Republic. So make sure you tune in for that. Of course, you can find us on all social media platforms. If you search MAD Sports Network, MAD Sports Network, you'll be able to find us. Christoph, you can also find him on 4 Manx 1 Toffee, and that is going on the bottom of the screen as well at We Are 4M1T. Our personal bits are there at Krista Collins, at Gavback23. This has been Group C. Over and out.